Good afternoon, and welcome to the University of Memphis on this auspicious afternoon. This is a singular honor that His Royal Majesty is here to speak to us today, and we're very grateful that he has chosen the University of Memphis, a great institution, a diverse institution, to help us celebrate a part of the heritage of that diversity here today. I want to welcome all of our guests here today at the university. I want to, in particular, welcome our guests who have come a long way from Ghana, some by way of the embassy in Washington, others as members of the courts here with His Royal Majesty here today. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank Helen Johnson, Rebecca Lallman, and Lauren Shelley for the work that they have done in preparing this afternoon. And I want to thank, in particular, Jim Holt and the Memphis in May leadership group for having had the wisdom to choose Ghana as the honored country this year and to bestow on us the honor of hosting this talk this afternoon. So on behalf of President Hardgrave, who already had a commitment for today, I want to welcome all of you very cordially and warmly to the University of Memphis. His Royal Majesty, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, is the 16th Asantehene King of the Asante. He ascended the Golden Stool on 26 April 1999. He is a direct descendant of the founder of the Asante Kingdom, Osei Tutu I. Born on May 6, 1950, named Barima Kwaku Dua, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II is the youngest of 5 children of Nana Afua Kobe Serwa Ampem II, Asantehene, Queen Mother of Asante, who reigned from 1977 to 2016. From early childhood, Barima Kwaku Dua came under the tutelage of his uncle, Oheneba Mensah Bonsu, who had been installed as Hiahena in 1952. Otumfuo Osei Tutu II has won great admiration for the unique brand of leadership he has provided the people of Asante in particular and Ghana in general since he assumed the high office of Asantehene and the enormous responsibilities that go with that position. Ever mindful of the importance of peace and stability to good governance, one of his first tasks was to encourage his people to seek the path of arbitration instead of litigation in numerous land and succession disputes that plagued the Asanteman for decades. Otumfuo Osei Tutu II has brought peace and reconciliation to his kingdom ever since he has been in power. So far, he has been able to settle over 500 land and chieftaincy debates, which could have sparked agitations and conflicts in his kingdom and elsewhere. He has established a solid foundation for the cooperation between tradition and modernism by emphasizing the need for tradition to redefine itself in a rapidly changing world without losing its essence. In recognition of this unique leadership role, the government of Ghana appointed him chairman of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs to resolve the Yendi skin affairs, which had already resulted in the murder of King Dagbon and other sub-chiefs, and whose effect was the looming conflict which could have destabilized Ghana as a whole. A lot of work has gone into this sphere, and the intervention has stemmed the tide favorably, allowing the peaceful burial rites of the late Yanaz and inscribing a new king for the people at Dagbon, bringing peace after 2 decades of war. He has been able to perform these tasks with great wisdom and tenacity of purpose, earning for himself remarkable respect among the people. The vision of Otumfuo Osei Tutu II encompasses education, health, and economic development. With that, I would like you to welcome His Royal Majesty.
Please sit down. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it has been our policy, wherever our duties have taken us, to seek to engage the youth in an educational setting, not only as a reflection of the priority we accord to education, but also because of our recognition that creating understanding among the youth is the surest way to secure the future of the world. The citizens of Memphis can be proud of their city for its foresight in the world. The citizens of Memphis, can be proud of their city for its foresight in establishing the Memphis in May International Festival, and particularly in setting aside a period to salute and celebrate one country. We have traveled several hundred miles from across the oceans in the very heart of Africa to celebrate with the city this year, and it is only right that we make the most of the opportunity to foster greater understanding as a contribution to the enhancement of the relations between the peoples of our two countries. Ghana has been called the Black Star of Africa, the heartbeat of the continent. She was not only the first sub-Saharan country to gain independence from colonial rule, but she spearheaded the struggle for the liberation of the whole continent. At independence, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president, famously declared that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the continent of Africa. That became the mantle of the new nation, and the people of Ghana pursued that struggle until the whole of Africa was freed from colonial rule and evil system of apartheid was brought to an end in South Africa. But freedom did not lead automatically to the fulfillment of the aspirations of the people. Ghana and most of the newly liberated states have had to grapple with overwhelming challenges against which the post-independence leadership could not survive. We have gone through political and economic turbulence of frightening dimensions. We have tasted one-party state and tasted military rule. Those experiences have informed the choice of the people of Ghana for a multi-party democracy buttressed by the rule of law. Historians and political analysts have often attributed the immediate post-independence travails of Africa to the twin devils of so-called tribalism and the autocratic traits of the leadership of the independence struggle. Such simplistic analysis do little justice to Africa. It ignores a complex historical milieu within which the new states came into being. Colonial rule in Africa has been carried out through a policy of indirect rule by which much of the local administration was left in the hands of traditional rulers. Why would they do that? The only reason they would do so would be that they found the traditional system of governance they met to be efficient and effective. The Gold Coast, for example, became known within the British colonial administration as a model colony. That was not because the British were managing the Gold Coast any differently. It was because the system of traditional administration on which they were relying was a model of efficiency. But the effect of this clever policy was to hound Ghana and many African countries as they regained their independence. It sowed the seed of mistrust between the nascent political class and their traditional leaders who were mistakenly linked with the colonial authorities. This mistrust played out in the constitutional arrangements for the new states, with scant attention paid to the role of the traditional system in the new governance structure. As a result, the constitutions adopted for much of the continent were riddled with fault lines, fertile to the national cohesion and stability. To better appreciate the significance, it will be helpful to take a peep into the history of the Asante Kingdom. Long before the American War of Independence, a number of small but independent states sprang up within the geographical space now called Ghana. They all spoke the same language, but that did not stop them battling each other. Then my great-great-great-uncle, Asantehene I, became king of one of the states. With a spiritual mentor and advisor, he invited all the states and said to them, "We are one people, speaking one language. Why should we continue to exist as little states, sometimes squabbling among ourselves and battling against other states, when we can unite and create one powerful kingdom against which no one or no other force can stand?" He held before them the vision of one kingdom able to defend itself against all others and capable of expanding and trading with all nations to bring prosperity to their people. The states bought into the remarkable vision and gave their unanimous consent to constitute themselves into a new federal union called Asante. They consecrated their decision with the golden stool, which has become the sacred bond of the kingdom. As envisioned by Asantehene and Okomfo-Anokye, the kingdom grew to become one of Africa's great warrior kingdoms. Neither Asantehene I nor Okomfo-Anokye had ever stepped into a classroom. If those circumstances had been different, the world would perhaps be studying their thoughts and works with the same zeal with which we study the Federalist Papers. For beyond the vision, the system of governance they established for the kingdom, the military formations they created for the defense of the kingdom, the cultural norms and systems of adjudication they set in trail have endured to this day. If indeed civilization is reflected in the creativity and artistry of our people, nothing could better attest to the place of Asante culture than the manner in which our chiefs are adorned in office. Asante gold nuggets reflect the creativity of our artisans. The hand-woven kente and adikra symbols show the range and breadth of the artistic minds of our people. The world is just emerging from the worst pandemic in history, and we have one thing to thank for the rescue. It is vaccination. It is vaccination which has given mankind the protection from COVID virus. It is vaccination that has saved and protected the world from previous viruses. We are boundless in our gratitude to the scientists who pioneered the use of vaccines, and particularly those who, in the face of COVID-19, produced a vaccine in such record time. What no one has acknowledged or articulated is that long before the scientists discovered vaccination, our people were using simple incisions to apply herbs to boost the immunity of our people against various diseases. The Asante Kingdom expanded to the point where, at its peak, it covered an area stretching all the way to the Republic of Benin. Some of our people have migrated to Ivory Coast and now constitute about a quarter of the country's population. That group produced a great man acknowledged as the father of the modern Ivory Coast, Felix Houphouët-Boigny, and another former President Konan Bedie. It is not difficult to appreciate why it should have been of strategic importance to the colonial powers seeking to control Africa to try to subdue our kingdom. But we successfully fought them and attempts at colonial conquest and remained fiercely independent until the beginning of the last century, when King Prempeh I was taken into exile and Asante agreed to be integrated into the Gold Coast under British rule. We have been resolute and true to our integration into the new nation state, which is now the Republic of Ghana, and have been unflinching in our determination to ensure its continuing prosperity. The natural resources of our lands, in gold and timber, and the individual energy and drive of our people as they applied themselves to cocoa farming have been at the forefront of the economic development of the nation. During the Second World War, Asante bought 2 aircrafts for Britain in support of the Empire War effort. And yet, The onset of independence ignited tensions between Asante and the leadership of the independence movement. For while they were as eager as any to welcome the dawn of freedom from foreign rule, the history and traditions of Asante obliged them to be more concerned about the institutional structure of the new state. The Asantes had always been absolutely loyal to their king, as the British realized when King Prempeh was first detained. Wherever he was kept within the Gold Coast of West Africa, his people were prepared to work to try and rescue him. Eventually, they had to send him across the oceans to the island of Seychelles because they knew my people couldn't swim. Even then, the people waited for all the 25 years he was in exile until the British allowed him to return to Kumasi before they formally committed their loyalty to the Gold Coast. Beside their loyalty to their king, Asantes had implicit faith in the traditional governance system, and the British, as already noted, had been careful not to disavow their administration. It will be obvious, therefore, that the role and place of traditional authority in the new state will be of critical concern to Asante, more so perhaps than other areas of the Gold Coast. On the other hand, the new political leadership were fearful that the unity of the new nation could be compromised by any restoration of traditional authority. Sadly, the political tug of war so poisoned the atmosphere that the space for a rational compromise was lost. The independence constitution that emerged was obviously riddled with fault lines which were to prove fertile. The effect has been tragic for Ghana and Africa. But we have learned the right lessons, and it has led Ghana to commit herself irrevocably to a democratic system of governance with an elected executive exercising the powers of state, an elected parliament which exercises the power to enact laws for the state, and an independent judiciary which exercises independent judiciary oversight over the actions and affairs of the nation. We have a vibrant media to hold authority to account. But the lessons of the past also tell us that democracy is not all about the ballot box alone, and secondly, that no system of governance will survive in Africa unless it is deeply rooted in and nourished by the culture of the people. Conditioned by these lessons, Ghana is evolving a happy convergence between the traditional authority giving the state its cultural roots and the essential strictures of the modern democratic state. It is still work in progress, but we are happy and proud of the acknowledgement, both nationally and internationally, of the traditional ruler's role as the critical support mechanism for the sustenance of the democratic order. As you may know too well, the adversarial nature of democratic politics has a tendency to raise tensions among political combatants, and in relatively fragile environments, this can often tip over the edge. What we have done is to place our chiefs as fathers of the communities above the combative political space, positioned to play the role of arbiters in conflict situations. Thus far, from the perception of chieftaincy as divisive promoters of tribal conflicts, chieftaincy in Ghana has become the indispensable support mechanism for the sustenance of the democratic order. Additionally, chiefs have become the catalyst of economic development. As the custodians of the land, traditional authorities are vital not only in the acquisition of land for development, but as facilitators and direct partners in the promotion of investment and private enterprise, especially in our rural communities. When we ascended the Gold Institute 23 years ago, we proclaimed education as the ultimate priority of our reign. In furtherance of our priority, we established a foundation to support the education of children from poor backgrounds. It has become, so far, the largest private intervention in education in the country's history, and has provided for students who would otherwise have been deprived of basic education, among them persons who have risen to serve as ministers of state and justices of the courts. Now the current government has introduced the education free education up to senior high school, which now ensures that all Ghanaian children from whatever background are guaranteed free education. Considering the value of education to the nation, this must be one of the boldest policies of the nation. But it also brings us challenges. It puts a huge strain on the national budget and raises further challenge about the creation of jobs for the increasing number of graduates. I'm sure the brilliant minds assembled here in this audience and beyond will be reassured that Ghana is on the right path, able to weather the storm and sustain its chosen democratic path, and deserves a fulsome support and collaboration from the United States of America. I look forward to initiating collaboration between your university here and our premier University of Science and Technology, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, in the sciences and entrepreneurship development. I thank you all for listening to me.